U.S. tech firms battle to keep selling to China. The Biden administration was considering cutting off the sales of equipment used to manufacture semiconductors to three Chinese companies that the government had linked to Huawei, a technology giant that is sanctioned by the United States and is central to China's efforts to deploy advanced chips. Applied Materials, KLA Corporation, and Lam Research, which make semiconductor equipment, argued that the three Chinese companies were a major source of revenue. The U.S. firm said that they had already earned $6 billion by selling equipment to those Chinese companies, and that they plan to sell billions more, two government officials said. In regulations issued this month, they ultimately rejected the American company's plea. Officials argue that China's ability to make chips that create artificial intelligence, guide autonomous drones, and launch cyber attacks is a national security threat. The U.S. chip equipment companies argue that they do not oppose stronger rules as long as they also apply to international competitors. Their chief complaint is that the U.S. industry is the only one facing restrictions, allowing companies in Japan and the Netherlands to step in to supply China with technology. That damages United States companies while also failing to restrain Beijing, they argue. Data from Open Secrets, a nonprofit, shows that lobbying spending by Applied Materials, KLA, and Lam Research has roughly doubled since 2020. Without its cutting-edge companies, after all, the United States would have no leverage over China at all. China has been investing heavily in technology and it is currently constructing nearly 24 new chip factories. Many Biden officials agree with the companies that say the United States should work with allies. After months of negotiations, the administration reached an agreement in September with Japan and the Netherlands to each halt the exports of roughly 24 types of advanced chip manufacturing equipment to China. Gina Raimondo, the Commerce Secretary, said the United States had to work with allies to ensure its efforts were not undercut. When I set the rules, I have to make damn sure China can't just buy the stuff from Japan or Korea or the Europeans, she said. She said, my thing is you can't put a price tag on national security, so if I dig into your profits, such is life. They also added 140 Chinese companies to the Entity List, which prevents exporters from sending them certain technology without a special license. Shueisha Technology, Shenzhen Pengxingshu Technology, or PST, and CN Qingando were among those added to the list. One such plant, a multi-billion-dollar state-owned chip factory in southern China, recently finished construction. Gregory C. Allen, a technology expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said Chinese firms were finding ways around U.S. controls much more quickly than the U.S. was stopping them. The U.S. now has a track record of closing loopholes once per year, and China's loophole identification operation runs 24/7, 365, Mr. Allen said. In late 2023, Bureau of Industry and Security officials started seizing U.S. shipments to those three Chinese firms. U.S. companies objected, arguing that the stoppages would hurt them. Officials also believed U.S. equipment makers were sidestepping regulations by shipping to China from subsidiaries in Asia and began investigating Applied Materials. The machines that make semiconductors are also as big as a van or a bus, and they are mind-bogglingly complex, manipulating materials at the scale of just a few atoms to create the intricate features on computer chips. At Applied Materials Silicon Valley offices in November, Tristan Haltman, the group vice president, said making chips involved two miracles. One is fitting 19 billion switches and 70 miles of wiring on a chip as big as a fingernail, he said, and the other is that you can make that chip for $30. A paper by the New York Fed this year found that profitability and employment had decreased for U.S. firms. In a letter to the Biden administration in August, lawmakers in California complained that the U.S. companies were rapidly losing market share and at a risk of a death spiral. Others say that these arguments are overblown, arguing that the U.S. companies have maintained steady gross margins and that export controls have had minimal impact, according to earnings calls.